There is an incredibly powerful story told by Rav Moshe Tzvi Neria, the student of Rav Kook and the founder of the Shavuot B'nai Akiva throughout Israel, about what Yom Yerushalayim truly means, and I believe what Shavuot, that we're about to celebrate, is all about. Said Rav Neria in the aftermath of the Six-Day War an incredible insight. He said, why is it that during the 1948 War of Independence, within 2 weeks, we had lost the nation state of Israel, had lost the old city of Jerusalem, with all of its inhabitants either in captivity or God forbid, being killed, and the entire old city destroyed? How come so soon after the war, a war which is a very lengthy war, we lost Yerushalayim? Yet during the Six-Day War, without intention from our side, somehow on a silver platter, Hashem hardened the heart of King Hussein, and literally on a silver platter, so to speak, Yerushalayim was handed to the Jewish people. What was the difference between the war in 1948 and in 1967? Says Rav Neria in Moriah, the answer is about the principle of unity and disunity. He says in 1948 we were not a unified people. Tzahal, the IDF, was not yet formed. In fact, in the battle for Jerusalem, you had the Palmach and the Haganah fighting through the Zion Gate, and you had the Eitzel, the Irgun, fighting through the Damascus Gate. We were not a unified people. And had we indeed managed to conquer Yerushalayim in 1948, there might have been a dispute over whose Jerusalem it was, as indeed was seen a month or two later with the whole Altalena affair, where there was literally infighting, Jew against Jew, as we were not yet a unified people. There was not yet a unified government and IDF. That's why we were not able, says Rav Neria, because Yerushalayim is about unity, and only through unity it does one merit Jerusalem. Exactly the opposite in 1967. The difficult situation before the war created the first national unity government in Israel's history, where political enemies stood together, Ben Gurion and Begin, and we stood together ke'ish echad b'leiv echad. And since we stood together in 67 and fought together, nothing can stand in the way of this powerful internal unity. And hence Yerushalayim, said Rav Neria, was, so to speak, not exactly a silver platter. Many people died, Ammunition Hill and others, for the Zchut of Yerushalayim. But historically speaking and relatively speaking, it was an incredible victory. Unity is the crucible. It is the central theme of which the Zchut Yerushalayim depends. As we all know, this is exactly the story of Shavuot. We stood, as it says, as we know, in Parshat Yitro, Vayichan sham keneged har, we stood encamped as one. Says Rashi, we all know, ke'ish echad b'leiv echad, quoting the Midrash, as one person with one heart. When we were able to stand together as one, we merited the Torah. And this is the great challenge of our generation, is being able to create a Torah which is a unifying Torah. Indeed, perhaps that is why, suggests some of our commentators, that we read Megillat Ruth, the Megillah of Ruth on Shavuot, because at the end of the Megillah we read about Ruth being the ancestor, the great-grandmother of David HaMelech. David HaMelech, King David, was born and died on Shavuot. What is the greatest legacy of King David? Indeed, the theme throughout the book of Samuel 1 and 2, the ability to unite the Jewish people. That was King David's genius. Somehow, through all the vicissitudes of political life, he was able to make enemies into friends and bring the different tribes together to create for the first time a sustainable sovereignty, one people, ke'ish echad b'leiv echad. And indeed, that is the main task of the Mashiach, the Melech HaMashiach, which will be the descendant of King David, to unify the Jewish people. We hope and pray, as we go from this Shavuot, Tafshin Ein Zayin 5777, that the Torah will be for all of us a Torah me'achedet, a Torah which unifies, to pick up of the incredible unifying power of Yerushalayim that we've just celebrated. We have over 1,000 people from diaspora communities coming together, celebrating together ke'ish echad b'leiv echad around Yerushalayim. And may this energy of Yerushalayim, may this energy of 50 years ago Yerushalayim, bringing Jews together, and which is once again done 50 years later, may that energy not only spill over into Shavuot of ke'ish echad b'leiv echad, but to create for all of us a Torah me'achedet, a Torah which unifies, a Torah whose voice is so embracing and encompassing, bringing all Jews together as one. And when that happens, indeed, the mission of a light unto the nations will ensue. May be'emet we merit it this year, from this Shavuot, from Har Sinai and Har Moriah together, be'ezrat Hashem. Chag Sameach.